Imagine losing everything you've ever worked for. Your money, your possessions, your status, gone in a single moment. Now ask yourself, would you break? Would you collapse under the weight of loss? Or would you find a way to turn tragedy into transformation? This isn't just a dramatic thought experiment. It happened. In 300 BC, a wealthy trader named Zeno watched his fortune swallowed by the sea. His ships wrecked. His cargo, the wealth he had built his life upon, vanished into the depths. In one night, Zeno went from a man of prosperity to a man of nothing. But here's the paradox. That disaster did not end him. It created him. From ruin, he became the founder of one of history's most enduring philosophies, Stoicism. Most of us, if faced with such a loss, would rage. We'd scream at the heavens. We'd curse our fate. We'd cling to what was taken. But Zeno did something different. Wandering in Athens, ruined and directionless, he stepped into a small bookstore. There, he discovered the writings of Socrates, words that pierced through his despair. And in that moment, something subtle but life-altering happened. He stopped asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and started asking, "What can I do with what has happened?" This shift, from external loss to internal control, was the seed of Stoicism. It was the realization that the true battleground is not the world outside of us, but the world within. Many today misunderstand Stoicism. They think it's about being cold, emotionless, detached. But the truth is the opposite. Stoicism is not the absence of emotion. It is the mastery of it. It is the refusal to be ruled by anger, fear, or despair. It is the courage to see reality exactly as it is, without distortion, and then to choose your response with wisdom rather than impulse. The Stoics knew life will break you, but how you interpret that break, that's what determines who you become. And here's why Stoicism spread so widely. It wasn't an exclusive philosophy for scholars or rulers. It was a way of living for anyone, in any condition. Epictetus, born into slavery, his body broken, his freedom denied, still rose to teach generations about resilience. Seneca, a statesman caught in the treacherous politics of Rome, wrote letters that still speak across centuries. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of the known world, carried the same lessons in his private journals, written not for history, but for his own survival of the soul. From the lowest chains to the highest throne, Stoicism was the same flame, a philosophy that belonged to everyone. And if you think Stoicism is just history, look closer. Today we live in a world just as chaotic. Only instead of storms and invading armies, we face endless distractions, constant comparisons, and invisible pressures. Social media pulls our attention. The economy sways our sense of safety. We chase likes, wealth, recognition, all things outside of our control. Stoicism cuts through this fog with a razor-sharp truth. Most of life is outside your control, but your mind, your choices, your reactions, those are yours. That is freedom, not the freedom to control everything, but the freedom to never be controlled by everything. The Stoics trained for this freedom. They didn't just talk philosophy, they lived it. One of their most powerful practices was voluntary discomfort. They would sleep on the floor, take cold baths, wear rough clothes, eat simple food. Why? Because when you willingly strip yourself of comfort, you discover something essential, that you can live without it, that happiness isn't in luxury, but in strength. Voluntary discomfort was not about punishing the body. It was about liberating the mind. Think about where most of your suffering comes from. It's not the event itself. It's the gap between what happened and what you expected. We don't suffer because it rains. We suffer because we expected sunshine. We don't suffer because we failed. We suffer because we expected success. The Stoics trained themselves to expect obstacles, to embrace them as the natural flow of life. So when hardship arrived, It wasn't a betrayal, it was part of the plan. And when life didn't meet their desires, they adapted rather than collapsed. At the heart of Stoicism are 4 timeless virtues, guiding principles for anyone in any age. Wisdom, the clarity to know what is in your control and what is not. Courage, the strength to endure hardship and resist temptation. Temperance, the discipline to live with balance, not excess. Justice, the commitment to live not just for ourselves, but for the greater good. Together, these virtues form a compass, a way of orienting yourself when the storms of life try to drag you off course. Even in modern times, we see the living embodiment of Stoicism. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for 27 years, robbed of his youth. He could have emerged consumed by rage. Instead, he chose reconciliation, forgiveness, leadership. He built a future rather than drowning in his past. Or Viktor Frankl, surviving the unimaginable horrors of the Holocaust, he discovered the last of human freedoms, the freedom to choose one's attitude in any circumstance. From his suffering came logotherapy, a branch of psychology rooted in meaning. Their lives echo what the Stoics knew: pain is inevitable, but despair is optional. Modern psychology confirms what the Stoics intuited thousands of years ago. Cognitive behavioral therapy teaches us to examine and challenge our thoughts. Rational emotive behavioral therapy dismantles distorted beliefs. Logotherapy centers life around meaning instead of misery. Each of these modern frameworks has Stoicism at its core, because the human mind, whether in ancient Athens or today, suffers in the same way, and it can be freed in the same way. So what is Stoicism truly? It's not about escaping pain. It's about transforming it. It's not about asking, why me? It's about asking, what now? It's about standing in the storm, not untouched, but unbroken. And if the ship sinks, it's about finding peace even in the depths. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That is Stoicism, not ancient theory, not distant history, but a living philosophy, one that can carry you through the wreckage and into the calm beyond.